Friends, fellow Filipino ladies and gentlemen, I am Maria Aurora Busoy Marcos, Filipino of legal age single and a resident of Barangay Maliwalu, Tarlac City. Ako po ang anak ng dating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos, kay Doña Elizabeth Busoy ng Sablan, Benguet. That my grandfather married to the Princess of Igorot. They own more than half of Sablan, and that their union resulted to the birth of Elizabeth Busoy, my mother. My grandfather is the first-degree cousin of Doña Josefa Edrelin Marcos. Therefore, my mother is the second-degree cousin of my father, the greatest president of the Philippines, the late Ferdinand Edrelin Marcos. The reason why they were not allowed to get married. They parted ways. My father opted to marry without a choice, Imelda Romualdez E. Ongping, before I was born, and my mother did the same, marrying Mr. Gerardo de Rosario, the first-degree cousin of our Foreign Affairs Secretary. After I was born, my mother brought me to the family of Ramos of Guagua, Pampanga. At the age of 15, I was abducted by two Philippine constabulary officers and placed me inside a sack and left under the drainage canal of Santa Maria, Bulacan, and that after 5 days, I was discovered by a bayawak hunter with his dog, and they brought me to Santa Maria Hospital. The Lord was so good to me that I survived, maybe because I have a mission to fulfill. Several days has passed. My abductor had been captured, but we knew that they just followed order from their superior. 2 days after, they were found dead, having cobra snake's bite inside their prison cell. After I graduated from high school, I was sent to Brent School for college in Baguio City, and after that, I got a job in the Manila International Airport as an intelligence aviation officer, years 1975, and then I met an Iranian student who is a businessman at the same time. We got married and had 2 children, a girl and a boy. But the tragic things happened. My dear husband was ambushed and died in Quezon City in 1984. I decided to send my children to Iran for safekeeping with my in-law. I went back to the Philippines to continue my business to support the need of my children. I became a consultant to some business mogul, prince and king of the oil exporting countries, and did exhibit where the proof is found in my file of evidence supporting my claim that I am capable of becoming a leader of our nation. My executioner discovered that I am still alive and plotted to kill me in Indonesia, but by intervention, I was able to ride in the ambassador car when the bomb exploded, which resulted in the stability of the Philippine ambassador. His 2 legs were amputated. I was flown to Australia with the help of Jamalur Kiram II, while my executioner thought that I was already dead. Silently, I went back to the Philippines and do regular job doing an import-export until the year 2012. That I decided to stay in the country with my uncle in Tarlac when I feel safe to stay. During my busy days, working most of my time outside the country, I never denounced my citizenship and continued to use my Filipino passport. I observed what is happening to our country, the movement and development, and honestly concluded that nothing good happened. The poor become poorer. My heart bleed every time. So my people, starving and suffering for lack of opportunity. I visited our hinterland to see the situation of our indigenous people, just to discover the worst situation. Admittedly, I'm a person with a strong personality and having brave heart, but seeing their situation, I cannot control the tears that flooded my eyes. For this reason, I decided to find a way in solving the starvation of our Filipino brothers by immediately calling the attention of my relatives and my blood brothers and sisters. We decided to bring in as much as possible any available funding to help our countrymen. In the year 2014, we started negotiating with the proper authorities, but it ended with nothing. We decided to bring in huge available money, but only to hear from them that it will be surrendered in our national treasury. My uncle agreed that it is not ill-gotten and that we can prove it. For the 20 years rules of President Ferdinand E. Marcos, the total budget is only 480 billion pesos. Granting without admitting that he pocketed all, it is very impossible. How can our country move and operate without money? We were able to observe during his presidency that he had more projects than the total projects done by 5 presidents after him. The amount offered for the welfare of our people in trillions of dollars. So how can you say that it is ill-gotten? Mayroon bang pera ang Pilipinas na ganon kalaki? But we can prove to you that it is clean money and we can justify the existence of this money. The money was the fruit of President Ferdinand E. Marcos, hard work, and the product of his brilliant mind. Having plenty of gold coming from his ancestor and summary payment of his legal services rendered to the rich Sultanate of Sulu, and some recovered gold bars considered to be Yamasita's treasures. President Ferdinand E. Marcos programmed the money and the gold bars. In the process, value ballooned to the amount beyond our understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, the upper trillions of dollars is only part or parcel of the total amount controlled by the former president. But the saddest thing, the money intended for our people is black entry by our government. We waited for the opportunity until we heard the pronouncement of former Senator Bongbong that he will run for vice president. Knowing the information, my relative immediately flew and challenged me to run for president so that easily we can bring in the money intended for the Filipino people. At face value, my story might sound bizarre and crazy to some closed ears, and blinded people in a system of ignorance done by traditional politics. This is the reality that the Filipino must need to know. I was adamant to accept the challenge, knowing that I don't have the dirty traditional political experience. But I have years of experience in the international and local corporate world, as well as philanthropy works, to manifest my leadership and managerial skill to justify my qualification to be the chief executive of this country. They agree how I can solve the problem of our people who are starving when the solution is on your hand. How can you afford to see them suffer? They show me the need and that they will not leave the country. If I will not accept the challenge, they ask me to choose what is more important, my family or my countrymen. In reality, I can live a simple and luxurious life abroad, enjoying the fruits of the gold and money of my late father. But I'm moved by the people's persuasion and seeing the need of my countrymen. I accept the challenge. My dear countrymen, this is my reason to seek the highest position of the land. And this is not for myself. This is for my struggling and suffering countrymen. My mission is to uplift the living condition and raise the standard of patriotism of my dear Filipino people. This is not only for the present generation, but the generation of our children and to their children and the generations to come. I now appeal for your kind consideration on having the chance to be at service to our nation. I assure you that I am physically and mentally fit with enough support by millions of silent supporters nationwide, as well as I am equipped with the necessary machinery and backed by enough funds to do the nationwide campaign, and can give my fellow presidential candidates a good fight. Prayerfully, I'm appealing to the rightful judgment of my countrymen. This is in need of change and hope by giving me the chance to be your next leader. Be with me in a new Philippines, in a new world, from a new Marcos, with new hopes and new life. Again, I'm Maria Aurora Busoy Marcos. Let me be